CMSportsNet Football Wrap-Up is brought to you by The Food Chick.
Thanks for joining us for CMSportsNet Football Wrap-Up. I'm Mike Preston. Today, we will be looking at highlights from the best of Winters Mill and Westminster High School's 2018 football seasons. We'll talk with both teams' head coaches and get their take on what to expect for next season. To get a closer look, I'm joined by Bill McKenna, former head coach at Francis Scott Key. But first, Pat Stetzer from the Carroll County Times joins us for a look at the season in review.
Thanks, Mike. Now it's time for an overview of Carroll County High School football for 2018. Carroll County had 3 playoff teams this fall. In 2A West, it was Century and Liberty, and in 3A West, it was Westminster. Now we'll start with the Owls first. Westminster competed in the Carroll County Athletic League this season, finished in second place, and qualified for the playoffs. First round sent the Owls back to South Hagerstown in a game they had played during the regular season. Westminster won that game down at the last few seconds. So the rematch came in the first round of the playoffs, and Westminster advanced again with another victory over the Rebels to set up a rematch in the 3A West final with Linganore. It's been a rivalry for the last couple of years, and Linganore has gotten the majority of the wins out of it, and the Lancers got another one this year in the 3A West final at home, beating the Owls and ending their season with an 8-4 record. Now, Westminster did make the playoffs, like I said, and they were led this season by senior quarterback Christian Etchison, who had a lot of offensive talent at his disposal, from running back Jaden Lewis to some receivers, Ryan Clatterbuck and Tavian Montgomery, who also played defense, along with a very strong defensive effort as well, along with Jacob Busick manning the defense there as well for Coach Matt Studi. So a solid season for Westminster this fall, with a lot of kids expected to come back next year as well. Century made the 2A West playoffs as the 4 seed. They actually faced Liberty in Week 10 of the regular season and fell short, but did enough to qualify for the playoffs. Unfortunately for the Knights, they had to go up against Damascus in the first round, and Damascus brought with them a long, impressive winning streak, one of the best in the country, if I'm not mistaken, and added another one to that, ending the Knights season in the 2A West semifinals. Coach Todd Edmondson did have a successful year, though, in Eldersburg, led by senior quarterback Brett Krapinski and running back JT Schneider. Liberty, down the street from Century, put together a very historic season. The Lions went 10-0, their first ever undefeated regular season, one of a handful of Carroll teams ever to do it in county history. The Lions were led this year by junior quarterback Nathan Kent, who transferred from Westminster in the offseason and came into a starting role, wound up winning Carroll County Times Player of the Year and leading Liberty to the 2A West playoffs to face Oakdale in the first round. The Bears came in at 9-0. That game was played in the first round of the playoffs. Liberty actually was up in the second quarter of that game, the first deficit that Oakdale had faced all season. The Bears did regroup, however, and get the victory over Liberty to end the Lions season at 10-1, but a very, very impressive year for them, with Nathan Kent expected to come back next year to try to add on to what he did in 2018. Of course, there was more than that this year in Carroll County. A lot of other teams had successful moments and individual success. FSK, Manchester Valley, South Carroll, and Winters Mill all put together fine seasons. Alex Barnes from Winters Mill led the county in scoring at quarterback. Receivers Sam Riley from Man Valley and Ryan Gallagher from South Carroll also put together good seasons. FSK had a great rushing attack, as they always do in their wing T offense. A lot of these kids will be back next year. Some will have graduated, but that's for 2019. That was it for 2018. Back to you guys.
It's 3rd and 15. Barnes drops back and completes a pass over the middle to Sagowski for 24 yards and a Winters Mill first down. The final score was 42-0, leaving Winters Mill with a record of 1 win, 5 losses, and Watkins Mill with a record of 5 wins and 1 loss. Austin Plummer intercepts a pass to stop Manchester Valley in overtime.
Engel's pass is intercepted.
The final score is Manchester Valley 20, Winters Mill 26. Alex Barnes runs for 5 yards for a touchdown to win the game. The final score is Manchester Valley 20, Winners Mill 26.
With us today is Matt Miller, head coach for Winners Mill. And Matt, you've had some time to digest what happened during the 2018 season. Can you kind of give us a breakdown of your thoughts?
Yeah, my coaches and I, we've had our exit interviews so far. I always get together with the coaches after the season, both as a group and as individuals. And, we talked about how hard we worked this year. I was thinking about the word to use, and I say challenging. I don't know if that's the appropriate word because it kind of carries a negative connotation, but we felt this year we worked as hard as coaches as we've ever worked before, kind of due to circumstances that we didn't anticipate. We had some injuries across the board. We brought up a lot of young kids to the varsity from the JVs. Not that other teams haven't done that before, but we really had to fill in a lot of substitutions, and it really kind of tested us, and it tested our coaching prowess through the course of the year, just how much energy and work we had to put in just to try and keep things afloat. And the kids responded well. It's tough when you lose. Losing can bring out the worst in a lot of people, but we always talk about challenges. They reveal character.
Right.
That it really shows a true measure of a person. And our kids met the challenge. And I know the results on the field weren't quite what they wanted or what we wanted, but all parties involved worked pretty hard this year.
Matt, with all the changes in the style of football now, offensively and defensively, is there anything that you see affecting the way you might organize your football team in the future?
Well, one thing we have to adapt to is lower numbers with the youth programs. We work hard to try and sell the program in the building. We want kids to be involved with football. We want them to take pride in that. So the first thing we address is trying to maximize our numbers and then utilize what numbers we have the best we can. One of the things that's come about the last couple of years, and I see this more and more when I hear coaches from colleges or other high schools talking, is how you utilize your practice time. I worked for Ken Johnson, Speedy, for a long time. And coming out of college, I was pretty gung-ho about things. And he said, a body has only so many hits in it. And we've worked to adapt our practices to try and keep our kids fresh. We try to monitor how much we go live. A lot of times the kids will say, we want to go live. But with our lower numbers, we run the risk of injuries. And you really walk that fine line between pushing your kids, but then you don't want to go overboard and cause injury. So trying to keep them healthy. Then just the game itself, it's so wide open. Offensively and defensively. When I first started in the county about 15 years ago, maybe we played one team that put 4 receivers on the field. Now, gosh, you go through your schedule, probably 8 or 9 teams on your schedule do some form of what we call spread. It's almost gotten to be base offense.
Yeah, but can you do that? Can they do it efficiently? I mean, it's one thing to be a copycat, but
sure.
Do you see that being efficient in high school?
Westminster's pretty efficient. Mm-hmm. Liberty High School's pretty efficient. Right. The teams we've played in years past, some of the schools from Frederick, we used to play Frederick High School and Tuscarora. Some teams are. I remember some of the years we first went to the spread. I remember when Winners Mill first opened, this was years ago, a lot of that was for survival. We thought if we pull people out of the box, maybe we have a chance. But, it's just, you look at the kids that we play against, how many of them, you look at the top passers in the league, how many kids have over 1,000 yards passing, how many kids in Carroll County have over 1,500 yards passing. It used to be your top rushers were your big offensive go-getters. A couple years ago, we had a kid who threw for 1,900 yards in the county, and I think he might have been one, but then the second kid was 1,700, the other kid was 1,650. So yeah, I'd say, and they're not doing that from a pro set.
Right. So who were some of your top players? I mean, we saw some of them on the screen, but coaches know a little bit more. You see them practice and so forth. Who are some of the top guys?
Well, we relied a lot on our quarterback this year. Alex Barnes did a lot for us offensively. A lot of our offense went through him. We ran the ball with him. We asked him to throw the ball. There was a couple of plays we sent him out on passes, some reverse stuff, like the stuff we saw in the Super Bowl. But most of our offense went through him, and as the year went on, we brought along some of our younger guys. But Alex, I think, ran for 800 yards. I think he threw for another maybe 1,100 yards. So right there, statistically, is 95% of our offense. Right. But then the name I sent in, Alex got a lot of recognition, and deservedly so. We had a kid named Bradley Cole, starter both ways, offensive line, defensive line guys, one of those guys in the trenches who his name's not in the headlines, his name's not in the paper, but he's a yeoman. He does the dirty work. And he was one of the leaders on the team, and he's a really neat kid, total program kid, weightlifting type kid. He's a kid that, like I said, his name, you don't see it in the newspaper a lot, but without him, kids like him, nothing else happens.
All right, hey man, thank you. Thanks for stopping by. And coming up after the break, we'll sit down with Owls head coach Matt Stute and check out highlights from their season. So stick around for more on CM Sportsnet's Football Wrap-Up.